Opening song, opening song. Where am I? Where was I? Oh man, that was pretty scary. My mouth. It kind of tastes like
Insert product placement name here.
which is delicious, but not quite what I expected. No, after exiting the endless void. But that's gonna happen to me when I play a Mario game. I think I'm gonna hold off for a little bit. I'm sorry if you guys really wanted a Mario review for me, but I'll get around to it, I promise. But one thing I found out before passing on was some interesting things about Nintendo, because they actually apparently have a few genre-defining franchises other than Mario. And one of them is the fantasy franchise, and I love fantasy. It's probably one of my favorite settings for almost any medium that I like to, I guess, ingest. And that franchise, the Legend of Zelda franchise. So, let's spend a little time to talk about where this venerable franchise came from. You see, this all began many moons ago when a young fan of F. Scott Fitzgerald's writings, who was living in Japan at the time, actually I'm pretty sure he still lives in Japan, was exploring the woods behind his house and happened to stumble across a cave. Who has a cave behind their house? Does his parents own like a forest or a mountain or something? And after getting the guts to, actually explore that cave, he was overtaken with a sense of wonder and discovery and realized he had to share that feeling with the world. And luckily enough for him, he got a job at good old Nintendo making video games. And the game he encapsulated that feeling in was
The Legend of Zelda series.
He must have done a pretty good job with it because they're still making Zelda games to this day. I don't know if I've ever been more excited to start a video game than, well, with the Zelda franchise, because as I've said before, I love fantasy and I also love a really good adventure. And if Miyamoto was really able to capture that sense of discovery and put it into the Zelda franchise, it should be quite a treat. But I decided to start with the earliest Zelda game that is still considered a masterpiece, because apparently the first couple Zelda games haven't aged as well, but I guess that's to be expected of a game that's well over 30 years old. But I want to dip my toes into the Zelda franchise, The Link to the Past. But it apparently doesn't have time travel. Why have a name like that if you're not going to have time travel? Whatever. I'm not going to have that little fact color my opinion of this game. That's the type of quality people look for in these videos. What am I talking about? Not quality in this at all. So we boot up the game and we're immediately greeted with this pretty awesome title screen. I mean, it has great visuals and killer music. Like, if you're going to do a fantasy game, this is the way to do it. This presentation, A+ in my book, for sure. And then we get to name a character. And if you've been following me until now, you know we gotta pick the strongest name. And I think we all know what the strongest name is. And we begin our adventure by being woken up, which, I guess this is just par for the course in fantasy games, as I'm learning.
That's not fantasy, man. That's just real life.
Whatever. We get up to, go help this person, but then it turns out our uncle, who is brandishing a sword and shield, tells us to stay in bed. If that happened to me, I totally would. But it looks like our hero, doesn't really care, because he doesn't want to keep living in a two-person house that only has one bed. I completely understand, man. So we make our way to the castle to save the voice in our head, and find the secret passageway, into the basement, and wow, pretty much immediately find our uncle who just got trounced. Like, I don't know what he was expecting he was going to be able to do. Did he think he was going to be able to take on all the guards by himself? I mean, he's not the guy he used to. He really let himself go. I mean, I guess I was expecting him to at least take out like one person or something, but he literally did jack shit. But, we don't worry about it for too long, and we just take all the useful stuff from him, like the sword and shield, and fight our way through the rest of the palace to make it into the other part of the dungeon, where we find Princess Zelda and save her, who at this point decides to drop this really awesome bit of information that all the knights and stuff that we were, slaughtering on our way to save her are actual people. So, I guess our hero's down with manslaughter. Dope. Then we escort her out of the palace through a secret passageway into a shrine. And right off the bat, I want to say something that I liked in this section was when you go from like the dungeon area to where it's supposed to be the sewers, they added like water on the floor and they got rid of the knights and added in smaller monsters. It was a subtle detail that really made the world feel more alive and atmospheric. Good job, A Link to the Past. You got some pretty good game design going on here. However, back to the shrine, the priest there decides to give us a exposition dump about how the wizard overthrew the castle and he's the person who is possessing all the knights and whatnot, and that the only way to beat him is to find this ancient sword, and the only way to get that ancient sword is to prove we're worthy by overcoming 3 different challenges to get these pendants to prove our worth. Which sounds pretty like typical fantasy fare, which could be a problem, but I'm okay with it, because I am down for an adventure, and the moment you leave the shrine, this game encapsulates that feeling of adventure pretty well. Like, I was having a blast just exploring, finding stuff, like finding secrets here, you know, overcoming obstacles there. It was great. You know, going into the dungeons, not knowing what to expect, but, you know, being pleasantly surprised by the puzzles there and having those awesome boss encounters, finding the different items in the different dungeons so that I can find even more stuff in the overworld. It was an awesome feeling to just explore in a game. I loved it. Though, on the way to the 3rd temple, there's a point where you get sent to the Dark World, and in the Dark World, you get turned into a manifestation of your true self, and well, I didn't think, you know, Great Hero's true self was a bunny, but, you know, who am I to judge? I guess the people over at Nintendo were also big fans of the Redwall series. Neat. But anyways, we finally overcome all the challenges in our way, prove our worth by getting all those pendants. We're off to get that sweet mystical sword we were told about. It's actually called the Master Sword, which, by the way, great name for just a powerful sword. I was really digging it. And then we're off to confront that evil wizard, Aghanim, who's possessing everyone. So we storm Hyrule Castle, slaughter all these knights in cold blood, and take them on. And you know, at this point in the game, I was getting a little sad, because I was like, man, I wanted this game to go on just a bit longer. I was having fun enjoying. But then the game pulled a fast one on me and was like, ha! Trick's on you, man. There's way more to this game. And that whole Dark World we went into for a little bit earlier, it turns out the whole rest of the game is that, and we barely even did half of it. And out of the 2 Super Nintendo's games I played, like, this happened both times where you think it's the end of the game, but then Nintendo's pulls a, but wait, there's more! So I wonder if it's because, you know, since they got to new hardware, they wanted to make people think they were at the end of the game, but then they were like, hey, you thought that's how long the game would be, but you forgot something. You're playing with power now. So buckle up, boys. Get ready for a real game. But, you know, none of that really matters right now, because there's a whole kingdom to save. And since there's a whole part of this game that, well, I don't know about coming into it, you know what that means? Game face time.
竜巻旋風脚
Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that to you guys. Well, I'll actually cover the rest of the game, just like you want. In the second half of the game, the Dark World, when you start really going into that, you know, not just a little bit we got a tease of before the 3rd dungeon, is when the game really opens up, and there's almost more of everything here. More dungeons, more monsters, more side stuff, more adventure. It's a fun time. But, okay, I have some problems with this part of the game, and this is entirely on me, and I don't think many other people have the same complaint, but this is my review, so I'm going to talk about it for like just a second. Bear with me. Okay, so all the side stuff is great, but it doesn't always stay side stuff. So for some of the later dungeons, you need to find these what I thought was optional things to get into the dungeons. And then when you're in the dungeons, you don't need to use them again, so it didn't feel quite necessary. I can see if I was younger or just had more time to explore and whatnot, that would be really appealing, you know. find all this extra stuff and allows you to get into these cool dungeons. That would be cool. But since there's no real hint as to where to find these, I mean, yeah, they're close to the dungeons, but there's no real hint. But they're required. Felt a little aggravating at first. But that's fine. I was down for an adventure, even if I was a little miffed at this concept. But then in the dungeons, for me, they took a little too long, but that's not due to the length of the dungeon. That's because I died a lot. And yes, that's on me. I'm not very good at this game, but I still died a lot. And that'd be fine. Except for the music in the dungeons are probably the weakest music in the game, because like overworld theme, great. Music in the dungeons, it's just ambient music, which would be fine, except for I kept dying. I kept having to listen to the not best music in the game, and when you die, you go back to the beginning of the dungeon, and you have to redo everything because it doesn't save any of your progress, which was a little aggravating. But again, that's all on me. It's not indicative of the quality of the game, it's just indicative of my skills not being super great. But regardless, I'm a stubborn guy. I beat the game. And that was me playing A Link to the Past. And yes, I'm terrible at this game. And yes, I didn't think it was a masterpiece as a lot of other people say it is. And yes, I'm not going to let that sway my opinion of the quality of the game, because it is a quality game. And if you're looking for a Zelda game, this one's really good. I mean, it's the only one I played, so I guess I can't really say if it's the best or worst or whatever. But it was a fantastic game. I enjoyed it from start to finish. Even if I had some issues with it. Which, you know, keep in mind if you feel like that sort of thing might also happen to you. But, all that in mind, this game gets this random channel's official rating of okay, so at the beginning of the game, when you save Zelda, there's this guard right by her cell, and that guard happens to have the key to her cell. And if Zelda is so important to, you know, your plot to take over the world, maybe don't have the person with her key be right there. I mean, that's just like asking for someone to, you know, kill that guard and save her. It's just, you know, someone with some experience giving you some advice. Out of 100%. Hello everyone, welcome back to this video. Thanks for, watching this one again. Hope you all enjoyed it. Wondering why the reviewer's not here while he's hard to work on the next one, so his corporate overlord had to come in and do this end card bit. So if you could like, comment, subscribe, that'd be great. We greatly appreciate all the feedback we get. And we're hard to work on the next review. So we hope to see you all soon, guys. Have a good day.